What's going on, people? This your boy Richie Rich back at you with another live tonight. Um, Tonight we're going to talk about the blueprints for blue collar brothers. So, guys, let me say this first of all. If you have a good idea for a show, you have a business you want to talk about, or you in some type of business you want to talk about, you want to share the information for other brothers to learn and to possibly get into that business. It's all about helping each other out. So tonight we got brother Jay Laver in the building. What's going on, Jay Laver?
What's happening with it, Rich?
Not much, brother. What you got going on, brother?
Well, honestly, I would like to just shoot out at the brothers. I know a lot of times we have conversations about the ladies and this, that, and the other. But with this pandemic going on, man, a lot of brothers are out of work, and some of them are trying to reassess their lives and their career paths. And I'm a blue collar brother myself. I'm a licensed plumbing contractor. I'm licensed in 3 states. I'm also a licensed backflow tester, which is a specialty device related to plumbing. And I make a pretty damn good living doing it. A lot of times when we hear brothers talking about blue collar jobs, the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth is truck driving. Oh, get your CDL. Oh, become a trucker. And that's cool. I mean, it's an honest living. It's good work. You got brothers out there making money trucking, but I believe there's so much more to be made in the construction trades. I've worked on construction sites. Now I'm a residential service plumber / backflow tester. And I can assure you, there have been times I've made in a day more than some truckers make in a month. And that's real talk. It just depends on the scope and size of the project. So,
right.
We were discussing it. So I figured I'd share this with the brothers, you know what I'm saying, and get them something to think about.
All right. For those that are coming in, make sure you hit the like button and share the live. I know when we talk about finances and stuff like this, brothers tend not to tune in. Most brothers want to hear about the women. But tonight, man, if you got a question related to the topic, I'm going to post it. I'm going to post all the questions. So, Brother Jay Laver, you know what I'm saying, he going to answer the questions to the best of his ability. So, y'all have a question, make sure y'all post it. If y'all have a good idea for the show, email me. Rollthetape@yahoo.com. Rollthetape@yahoo.com. So can you give us a little background of like how you got into all this and how you got started, brother?
Absolutely, fam. Absolutely. And I'll be very candid with the brothers. When I came out of high school, I flirted with the idea of going into the military. But my mother had a good friend that was in human resources at a commuter railroad in Chicago. I'm born and raised out of Chicago. So making $20-something an hour, about $20 an hour. At 19 years old, I was like, hell yeah. So, I get on with the railroad. Worked there for about 7 years, and there was a good brother that worked there named Ron. He was a ticket agent. Now, this is a commuter railroad, not a freight railroad. So, it was taking passengers back and forth to different stations. But Ron had got caught up on some stealing. He was a ticket agent, and for whatever reason, his drawer came up light on several occasions. So they wound up busting him. But before he got fired, he was telling me, he was like, Jay, you can keep doing this, man, or you can get yourself a trade. He was like, I'm damn near 50 years old. I got no education. I've been doing this for 20, 25 years. Once these people fire me, man, I'm not going to be able to make a living making the same amount of money I'm making right now. And that really hit home when he told me that. When I thought about my prospects for continuing to work for the railroad, at the very most, I could have became an engineer, but that didn't seem too appealing to me because I'd be going up and down the same track every day for the rest of my life until I retired. So I kind of wanted to take my life into my own hands. So at that particular point, I did 2 things. I applied for Cook County Sheriff's Department. And when I was down for my interview with the sheriffs at the county building, I'm walking through the lobby going downstairs, with the downstairs lobby. I'm a Prince Hall free and accepted Mason. And I bumped into another Mason. And he was like, hey, bro, the plumbers union is hiring. They're taking apprentices. And we got a brother that's a business agent. All you got to do is go down and talk to him, and he'll square you away. So I go down there, fill out the application to take the test, paid a little $25. So I sat and waited and waited. About maybe 9 months later, I messed around and got an acceptance letter from the sheriffs and the plumbers union at the same damn time. So then I had to make a choice. And I said to myself, well, I could do one or two things. I can go ahead and be a sheriff, but I'd be sitting around babysitting inmates all day long. Or I can go ahead and get in this apprenticeship and get a trade that nobody could take away from me. The only thing that wasn't appealing about the plumbers union is I was making about $20-some an hour at the railroad. Starting out as a first 6 months of apprentice with the union, it was paying $9.65. So that was a hell of a pay cut. So first 6 months it was $9.65, then it went up to $10.80. Then your second year you got a raise. It was a 5-year program, so at each yearly interval you got a raise. But by the time I topped out and became a journeyman, I was getting $32 an hour. So I'm glad I did it, because right there, going from 20 to 32 with the prospect of making a hell of a lot more was the best. I had to sacrifice in order to gain. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So did it in Chicago for a while. I'm a single parent. I got twins, boy and a girl. So there's a lot of killing going on in Chicago, man. So I said, I need to get the hell up out of here. So my baby's got a shot at living, you know. So I was thinking about where to move. I decided to come to Texas. I thought West Coast, man, but California got the earthquakes. I was thinking East Coast, but you got the hurricanes and shit. So I figured, shoot, straight down the middle, I'm good. Came down to Dallas. I had plumbing contractor licenses in Illinois and Indiana, because anybody that knows Chicago, it pretty much borders Northwest Indiana. So I got licenses in both states, do projects in both states, and be able to pull permits. Well, when I got to Texas, they don't have something called a reciprocity agreement with either two states rather. A reciprocity agreement means your license is good in my state and my license is good in your state. Kind of like a driver's license. Well, they wasn't honoring that. So they told me I had to take the state of Texas test to become a journeyman first. So I went to Austin, took the test. I had enough hours as a journeyman. I had the union in Chicago forward all my work hours to Texas to show that I actually had those hours logged, because there's a minimum of 8,000 hours work before you can take the test. So I went ahead and took the test, passed it. Then I wanted to become a master plumber. The difference between a journeyman and a master is allowed to do business and pull permits, to whereas a journeyman can do any types of plumbing, but he has to work under the microscope of a master. So went back down to Austin, took the master plumber's test, passed that, and I hit the ground running, bro.
Okay, that's what's up, man. So if a brother was looking to get into this business, man, what would they have to do nowadays to get into the plumbing thing? Because you saying it's probably gotta take all these tests and everything.
Well, you're gonna have to test
What would
it
be the best route? Right? Go to a school, or because I know they got trade schools for it, right?
They do have trade schools, but I'm against the trade schools personally, and I'll tell you why. When I was in the union in Chicago, we worked 4 days, and then on the 5th day, we did 8 hours of school time, and we got paid for that day like it was a regular work day. So, you know, when you got people going to trade schools, basically you're paying them to teach you something. So you're taking out loans, you're putting yourself in debt, and that's the last thing you're trying to do. What I would recommend to a brother, depending on where you live, check with your local union. Find out when they're taking applications. Because ordinarily, you're going to get the best training through the union. I mean, real talk. If you don't have a union that's got it like that, you can just go to an right. For example, I'm in Texas now. We've got a union down here, but Texas is something called a right to work state. So that's why I say it varies on your state. You can get into the plumbers union in Texas, but knowing what I know now, I would start with a company, log my hours up. You know what I'm saying? So if I came in as an apprentice with the company, all I got to do is fill out an application, send $20 to the state of Texas. I'll get something called an apprentice license, and I got to renew it every year. Once you log those 8,000 hours work, then you're qualified to take the journeyman plumber's test. Then once you do that and pass, you can quit and go work wherever you want to, or take your master's exam and start your own business. You know.
Right. So
So I
just
was
explain to us exactly, you know, for those that don't know, what all the plumber do, man, because most people think, you know, you changing the toilets out. So break that shit down for us, man.
That's a very good question, Rich, and I get that a lot. You know, I was watching this one YouTube video, and they were talking about how educated Black women kind of look down on blue collar men.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
you know, little do people know the schooling and the hands-on training that you have to go through to be proficient in any trade, especially a trade that requires licensing, a plumber, an electrician. There's so much math related to plumbing. We do more. Let me put it to you like this: as pound for pound, as far as training goes and continual education, we do more than most do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have to stay on top of the current building code, the local codes, so on and so forth. Um, it, it, you really don't realize the potential until you're in the game. And the one thing I'm gonna tell brothers is this: like I say, I have my master plumber's license in 3 states, but I'm also a backflow tester. And what that means is any building that has like a soda dispenser, any commercial building that takes in water, any car wash, any hospital, any dentist office, they have something called a backflow device that's installed in the water main, well, the water supply line coming in from the city. What that device does is keep contaminated water from in the structure from being reintroduced to the public drinking water. But these devices have to be tested annually. So if I go out and test a device, or let's say, for example, I went to a dentist office, they had 9 devices. I told them, all right, $100 a device. It takes 5 minutes to test each device. You spend more time filling out the paperwork. So that was 900 in a day right there. And I think I spent maybe 2 hours at the place. You know, so it's not
Now
really
you do
what you
that
do, it's how you
independent?
do it.
You do that independently, or you working with a company? What?
Oh, that was myself. That was for myself.
Independent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Shit, I need a few of them jobs, man. Give me
You
some.
know, and that's what I would tell any brother that gets into any type of trade. Once you get your primary license, you want to get as many additional certifications as you can. Like I said, I could have simply been a journeyman plumber doing what I'm doing, but I want to get into backflow testing. Also have my med gas certification. So what that means is I'm able to join copper pipe and glass pipe in hospital applications. The one thing I regret not doing when I was an apprentice is taking welding seriously. You know, me and my boys, we always trick off in welding class and this, that, and the other. But yeah, and that was part of the union apprenticeship. They gave us a welding class, basic welding. It wasn't like, you know, TIG welding and this, that, and the other. They just pretty much taught you the basic principles of stick welding. But I'm in there tricking off. I wish that I had fucked around and took it seriously, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could spark it, but I'm hardly a proficient welder. But you know, you got welders that make good money, man. I know a guy that left Chicago. He was from Ireland. He quit the job in Chicago to go to Ireland to work on cruise ships. So he's a pipe fitter now. He gets free cruise privileges, all types of stuff. But he wanted to move back to Ireland because that's where his people were from. So he was able to take that trade and go wherever in the world he wanted to, you know?
Right. Yeah, that welding, man. I know a lot of guys that do that. Man, they make pretty decent money. And like you say, when you got these trades, man, you can always, you know, hustle on the side, man. You know, you can lose a job, but you can never lose a trade, man. You know?
Absolutely. You'd be surprised, man. Every job I go to, you know, usually the customer, when you give them the company prices, they'll always ask you, hey, do you work on the side? But you got to be real careful with that. You know what I'm saying? Usually any side work I do, I limit it to brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Because if it gets back to the company, you fucked up. And then
Right.
2, you know, you're assuming a certain amount of liability because if you do the job, first of all, If you're doing it on the side, just right out on the side, so you're not pulling a permit, you're not insured rather, you're really taking your chances, and people could come after you. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. You got to be real careful, man. And then, like I said, you don't want to getting back to your job too. Like if you're working for a company and the person calls you, I've seen it happen, man. You're working for it didn't happen to me, but I know somebody that happened to. He was working on a job, did a side job for somebody that he met from that company. For whatever reason, these people tried to call him because they were having an issue and wanted him to come back out. Well, I guess he didn't return their call quick enough. So the first thing they do is call his job. Well, your man came out here and blah, 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 blah. And they're looking at it like we didn't have him scheduled to come out there that day. So they put one and one together and realized he was working on the side. Fired him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I hate to sound racist, but white folks, man, they do that shit a lot.
Man, you got to be careful. But the beauty of having a license, man, is you can take that. Look, man, you get fired today, you got a job tomorrow. Because it ain't about, if you're a licensed plumber, you're never going to be out of work.
Right.
You're never going to be out of work unless your license is fucked up. Unless you fucked up so bad to where the state gets involved and revokes your license, then you screwed. But even then, if you're a good plumber, you'll find companies, man, that'll let you groove for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. This dude on my job, man, he was trying to get a tree cut down, so I recommended a guy, independent guy that, do that kind of work. And his wife is like a lawyer. So the guy came out there. Long story short, she went with the company. She had a company come out there. So they end up cutting the tree and they end up dropping like one of the limbs on the fence, and she caught their ass trying to fix it, trying to scrape it. She was taking pictures of it. So she called the company back out, and she got to talking to them, and she, white folks, they be going in. So she was like, "Oh yeah, you guys, they fixed my tree. They was fixing my fence and all that, and yeah, they did my neighbors down the street tree, and so the owner was like, hold up, they weren't scheduled to do a one tree."
Right.
So yeah, you got to be careful with that. So the guys got busted basically, man. But those folks, man, you just got to be careful with that side hustle.
You got to, man, because it seems like, and I'm not trying to make it racial, but some of them other people don't realize what on the side means. Like, I'll do work on the side and ask me, do I take credit cards? I'm like, wait a minute, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this on the side. Why you think I run around with a credit card processor, man? I do the work, you pay me cash. So it's kind of worked out now, man, because with all these different cash apps and stuff like that, if the person's cool, you can just be like, go ahead and Zelle me or go ahead and Zoom me or something like that. And it works out. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Any questions y'all got about the business, go ahead and post it up for them. And Apex Traveler said the real money is in the lineman work. What's that, man?
When he says lineman, I'm assuming he means electrical lineman, meaning they're running electrical lines on the post. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's referring to plumbing.
Oh, okay.
So, like when the power lines go out during a storm or something like that, and they send the light company out, those guys are either repairing and installing the electrical lines. And, they get a ton of work, man, because sometimes when you have bad storms here in Texas, you got linemen coming from other states to try to get the power going. You know what I'm saying? They had that shit going in Haiti, sending all these American workers over there. Look at Puerto Rico. When they had the hurricane, they had so many companies and contractors come from the States to get the power going because their infrastructure was so bad. But speaking of overseas, the only downside to being in the construction industry is overseas. If I could make the same money I'm making here in the Dominican Republic, I would sell everything I had and go over there right now. The problem is there's no building code in the Dominican Republic. So they don't have a certain standard that they have to adhere to, and they don't have to pull permits. They don't have code books, stuff like that. So I would never get paid what I'm worth in the Dominican Republic because any Joe Blow without a license can just go out there and smack some shit together. I've seen some plumbing over there, man. I'm like, who the fuck did this? What is this? But that's how they do, you know.
Right,
But
right.
I'm kind of researching into whether or not like these hotels and casinos that they're putting up, I'm pretty confident they got to have backflow devices in there. So my plan is if they don't have a code for backflow testing, I'm gonna go to my old instructor rather and have him give me a template to where I can propose it to some of these companies out there and possibly install backflow devices and test them. So if I got 1,000 devices out there that I got to test it, let's say several hotels or places, resorts, places with swimming pools, and I'm charging $100 a pop, that's $100,000 a year right there, backflow testing. And God forbid I'm able to teach classes and show other people how to do it.
Right.
So sky's the limit. It just depends on how you apply your craft.
Okay. So right now you currently work for a company or you got your own business or
Well, I got my own backflow testing business. And as far as plumbing goes, I was working for a company. And that's another thing about plumbing. Some plumbers work by the hour. So on average nowadays, well, again, it depends on where you live. I'm in Texas. The average hourly wage for a plumber down here is anywhere from $30 to $35 an hour. Back in Chicago, the union scale is close to $50 an hour, but the cost of living is so much higher up there. The union is able to command a higher wage. So, and the difference, like I said, Texas is a right to work state. Chicago is big time union. So any hospital, the airports, the city workers, the state workers, they all have to be members of the union. To whereas in a right to work state, you're not obligated to belong to a union. So when you have a union and you're controlling a certain market, you get to dictate pretty much demand a better package, and 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get it. But the company I was working for, I was working commission, so I was getting 30% off of every job. So let's do the math here. You go to install a water heater into somebody's crib, depending on the size of the water heater and the location, you might be charging them anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500, depending on if it's a tank type water heater or a tankless. Tankless is going to be a lot
just
more.
to install?
You want to provide and install the water heater, yes.
Oh, provide one in. Okay, I got you. I go get Pookie to hook that thing up.
But see, that's the chance you take. Pookie don't put it in right and floods your crib. Pookie ain't got no insurance, and Pookie ain't gonna pick up the phone.
Hell no.
So a lot of people think they saving $1. They try to be do-it-yourselfers, man. But there's certain things. Let me put it to you like this. If something's wrong with my car, I'm gonna go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's. I'm about to book for the motherfucker and see if I can tinker around with it. By the time I take it to a shop, the mechanic is gonna have to earn his money because I fucked with it so much. He's gonna have to earn his money putting it back together because I tried to fix it. Now that's a car. I'm not doing that with my crib, And a lot of homes, they have their water heaters installed in their attics. I've never seen that before. Being from Chicago, we got basements and stuff like that, so that's where the water heaters usually are.
Man, imagine if that thing go out.
Yeah, in Texas, you'll see 2 50-gallon water heaters in the attic. It's not a matter of when it's going to, if it's going to, if it's going to start leaking, it's when it's going to start leaking. So you got 100 gallons plus the water coming, trying to refill it, pouring all over your house. I've seen it a million times.
Put it in the attic though. Why would they do that?
It's not the plumbers, it's the builders, it's the architects. They try to put it up there because they're trying to have as much living space, if you will, in the house. So in the attic, the water heaters are out of the way. If I was having a house built, I would have my water heaters in the garage.
Right. It seems like that's what they're doing with the new house, right?
Yes and no. It just depends on the builder. It depends on the architect. Again, but see, then when you have all these water heaters in the attic, that created a new market because now what's real big in Texas are water restoration companies. Basically, if your house floods or this, that, and the other, they come and tear the drywall out. They'll bring out fans and dryers and shit. And they're making a fortune. I mean, you got a ton of them down here. And what they do for us is let's say, for example, I'm at somebody's crib and their water heater goes out, be it in the attic or the first floor, whatever, and there's a lot of water damage.
Right.
If I contact a particular water restoration company and
Mm.
they're able to get the job from the company, they'll give me a $500 referral just for picking up the phone and calling.
Damn.
You know, so
That's another
I've got,
great business right there too, doing that restoration shit. Oh my God.
it really is. And you don't need any specialty licensing to do that. You just need the equipment and you need liability insurance. So you
Really?
don't need any, you don't need any type of state license to do that. You know, electrician, each individual needs a license. Now you need a business license, but each individual doesn't have to be licensed. So each
Right.
individual plumber, each individual electrician, we have to be licensed. But a water restoration company only has to have a business license to operate, liability insurance, a name and the equipment, and you in business.
Right.
Of course, you need competent people that know how to, you know, assess damage and install drywall and shit like that. But it
And
ain't
a
that
lot
hard
of
to
them
find
folks,
somebody out here to do that. Yeah.
a lot of them folks, man. I seen my cousin had used a company, man, and man, he had big time mold like months after that. Man, like fuck this shit up. You know.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, you know, with the mold, you know, they have to be able to treat that. And what they do is the job has to go over a certain, usually what will happen is this, the person will come out and tell you, okay, we've assessed the situation. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars. So let's say they come to your crib, you got so much damage, it's $8,000 worth of damage. Well, if your homeowner's insurance deductible is $2,000, then you're naturally going to go to the insurance company, pay them $2,000, and then let the insurance company pay the other $6,000. You
Right.
know, but you got some jobs where if your deductible is $2,000 and they're saying the damage is only $1,400 worth, then you just pay the company out of your pocket. Why would you bring the insurance company into it? You know what I'm saying? Because the repair amount is less than the deductible you be paying out. So there's a fortune to be, you know, it's all about networking. It's all about network. Even when I was a journeyman, man, I went out and had business cards printed, you know, passed them out. You know, I could be in a conversation with just anybody, you know, and what's his brother saying? You can do
You
very
can
well with
really
fire.
do well with fire suppression systems, at least 70K, even more with experience, 110.
That's very true. That's very true. Fire suppression systems. Basically, he's talking about sprinkler installations. And
Right.
even a sprinkler system has to have that backflow preventer on it. But you have to work for a fire suppression company in order to be able to test fire suppression systems. So even though I'm a licensed backflow tester, I can only test domestic water systems because I don't work for a fire suppression company. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so aside from just installing them, now, for example, in Chicago, again, like I told you, the union scale for a journeyman plumber is about $50 an hour now. I would say it'd be about the same for a sprinkler fitter. And God forbid you're doing backflow testing as well. I mean, you can get good money, bro. And that's working for somebody. Now, if you work, let me tell you a story. Again, it's all about networking, bro. I belong to this organization. It's like the American Society of Backflow Prevention Testers. And we have quarterly meetings every 3 months. So I go up in there. I'm like only, maybe the crowd had about 30 people in it, 2 brothers, and I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm feeling like, damn, you know what I'm saying? The meeting goes on, this, that, and the other. It lasts about 2 hours. And you get credit towards your continual education for attending these meetings, because they're basically teaching you the latest trends in backflow testing, different products, you know, different devices, so on and so forth. So at the 1 hour mark, they always have like free lunch. So we're standing in line for lunch. I meet this older dude, man. He looked like he was about maybe 65. Turned out he's a little over 70. So we get to talking, and all he does is backflow testing. His name is Frank. So I said, hey, Frank, do you mind if I ask you a question, man? I ain't trying to get in your business, but I really want to know something. He said, yeah, no problem. I says, are you making over 6 figures doing this for a living? He said, Jason, I'm 72, 73 years old. I don't work hard, and I'm making mid 6 figures. Blew my damn, blew my mind. And
Just
he woke me
testing
up,
this shit.
just testing. He's not a licensed plumber, so all he can do is test.
Right.
So by linking up with him, if he has a job to where he needs a plumber to come out and install a new device, who does he call? He
You.
calls me.
Word.
Exactly. So I'll go ahead and install a new device, test a new device, get paid for that, and kick Frank back for looking out. It's all about networking in this business, man. Everybody wants to know a good plumber. You know, everybody wants to know a good plumber. Everybody wants to know a good electrician. You know,
Right.
everybody wants to know the cop. You know, it's there's certain lines of work. You know, everybody. You know what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah.
But sky's the limit, man. It depends on how much time and energy you put into this. But you know, aside from what it is, you know, it's who it is, you know. But it's your responsibility to get out there and network. You know, like I say, a lot of brothers talk about truck driving being the way to go. You know, it's like I say, it's a honest, respectful trade. I'm not built for that, and I'll tell you why. If you're an individual truck driver working for a company, a lot of, you know, I subscribe to some of their channels, a couple guys.
There you go, right here. So he doing hot shots, the dually for 8K per month and travel every other month.
That sounds good. I mean, $8 grand a month. You know what I'm saying? But man,
How much
who
that
want to
truck
make
gonna
8 grand
cost
a
you,
month?
man?
But see, my thing is, if he owns the truck, if that truck breaks down, you screwed. So you missing money there. God
Tires,
forbid you.
oil
God
changes.
forbid, yeah, I mean, just maintenance alone. Now, the same can be said for a plumbing company. Like, you know, you got to operate your vehicles. But if I'm leasing a vehicle, I'm gonna get another one just like that. Also, you know, if you own a trucking company, you gotta have guys with CDLs that are responsible drivers working for your company. You know, but then God forbid somebody gets a DUI. You out partying on New Year's Eve. They take away your driver's license, you out of a job. You know, I can get 10 DUIs and still plumb. You know, so I like the security in the trades, in the building trades, construction trades. You know, guys that do AC work, man, making a fortune. You know, like the brother said, sprinkler fitters making a fortune. It's all about network.
Yeah, that hot shot business, man. It's saturated, so saturated in Atlanta, man. I mean, it's super saturated. I know a few people that went in and they got out of it, man, because they said it was just people was trying to pay them too. You know, the Lowe's wasn't paying enough. Like you say, between the maintenance, I know one guy he bought a truck new like 3 years ago, man. He got over like 300,000 miles on that joint. Like,
yeah.
By the time you pay for the truck, it's time to get another one. And you talking about what? A good, at least for a decent truck, at least 40 to 60 grand.
God forbid it's new. It's
You
over
gotta
100,000.
drive, you gotta get tires, you gotta get oil changes, man. Oil changes ain't no $50 on them things, you know what I'm saying?
You know, and then you got these fools out here, man, that insurance chasers. You know, they see these big trucks on the road, man. They'll pull in front of them and jam on their brakes, get rear-ended, trying to sue the company. You know, there's so many things that are out of your control. And I feel in the trucking industry. Now, me not being a trucker, I mean, I'm only looking at it from the outside. You know, but you know, like I watch those videos again. You got guys talking about how, you know, they got layovers where they're waiting for their truck to be loaded and they get paid by the mile. So if they're sitting at a place for 6 hours waiting to get loaded, that's kind of chopping into their time to drive, if that makes any sense, because they only got like 11 or 12 hours that they could be on the clock. Then it's like mandatory rest period and all that. You know, fuck that shit. Fuck that.
Shout out to Markel. He said, without an employee as an HVAC owner in Arizona, he easily made over 6 figures a year solo. But he is correct. Networking is the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know
You
a guy
know, I
with
mean,
a HVAC company now, man. He got like 2 other trucks out there, man. Boy, he be getting it in. I'm talking about for real, Jack. I'm talking about way over 60. He over damn near 300,000 a year. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, that's easy. And like I
Right.
told you, Frank is making that, and he's just backflow testing alone. So my plan at some point, I want to get to the place to where I could live in the Dominican Republic for anywhere from 3 to 6 months a year, and then come back here and work. And I'm not gonna be able to do that working for the man. So I had to go into business for myself. That brother Taylor Made Dreams really changed my life because by introducing me to the Dominican and what's going on beyond America, it's made me want more for myself, plan for my future. You know, um, I look at some of these brothers, man, they online talking about the stock market and this, that, and the other. Taylor made me realize we're not going to be young forever, man, and we got to start thinking about our retirement. There was a guy I was working for, man, when I was an apprentice. It was an Irish guy, family-owned plumbing company, and he basically told me, man, he says the most important thing in life is your health. And I had another guy I was working with, old schooler. He told me, I'm gonna tell you this, man, I want you to listen. He said the biggest mistake he ever made in his life was not properly preparing for his retirement. He was like about 65 at the time. He was like, I'm 65 years old and I still got to go out and work every goddamn day because I didn't prepare for my retirement. Had I did the right thing, I'd be sitting at home. And you see these older people like at Walmart greeting motherfuckers and this, that, and the other. Those are the years you're supposed to be laid up chilling, but some of those people do it because they want to, but a lot of them do it because they got to eat. So it's rough, man.
Brother Markel said he can make 60 grand just changing air filters.
He can.
You really can. We don't want to get under the house. Yeah. What you charge him to change the filter? Get up under the house. What, $100? $75?
Well, I don't change air filters.
I'm just saying, like,
but he would.
Yeah.
Markel would probably have a service contract with people. And basically what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'll come out annually and change your filters for you. Or, I'll come out and do an AC tune-up in the spring and in the fall. So I'm checking your AC in the spring before it gets hot, and I'm checking your heater, your furnace in the fall before it starts getting real cold. So depending on the amount of customers you have, if you're charging $100 a service call, and you're going out twice a year, that's $200 a pop times 1,000 customers, $200,000 right there. And that's not counting the stuff you find wrong. Now, if you start finding stuff wrong and that's got to be repaired, then there's even more money in that. And what a lot of companies do now is they have something called maintenance agreements with customers. So basically what you're coming to them doing and saying is, all right, you're going to pay me $10 a month. For that $10 a month, whenever you call my company, I'm going to give you priority dispatch. I'm going to give you 10% off of any work done. I'm going to come out and flush your water heater for you once a year. And I'm going to give you a walkthrough inspection and tell you it's really a ploy to get into the person's house. You're trying to get in there and find something wrong. Not saying you're trying to make something wrong, but you're just trying to bring stuff to their attention. And a lot of times I'll go in there and tell the customer, you say what, bro?
You're selling shit. Sales.
Pretty much. It's all about sales. I'm not just a plumber, man. I'm a salesman. I'm a professional driver because I'm driving from place to place all damn day long. I'm a counselor because I'm counseling motherfuckers when their heart is broken when they get the bill. I can go on and on, man. It ain't just plumbing. But like I say, with that maintenance agreement, if you do the numbers, if you're getting $10 a month for 12 months, that's $120 a year. Right. 1,000 customers, $120,000.
Yeah,
and that's just off the maintenance.
There's all kind of money in this shit, man. You got guys out there, because I kind of dabble with that. I used to work with the bank with the foreclosures and stuff. But you got all kind of guys out there that they act like they contractors and they come to your house and they give you these quotes on doing remodeling this stuff and they sub it all out. And man, they make a killing just doing that shit.
Well, that's essentially what you would call a general contractor. So a general contractor is essentially a broker, if you will. So you come to the general contractor and say, I'm looking to do this. So he's going to find or use his drywall guy, his plumber, his electrician, and his architect or whoever he fucks with. And they're going to go ahead and assess the job. And okay, plumber, I need you to do this. Electrician, I need you to do this. Drywall guy, I need you to do this. And then once everything's done, everybody gets their parts. And of course, the general contractor is going to get a part for putting it all together.
Right. And man, this dude was capping. Hey, but 010 says his neighbor's 26, recently graduated HVAC school. Most company offering him like $14 to $15 per hour. Does that seem right? He is new to the field.
It does not seem right to me because I don't like people telling me my worth. Let me say this to you: if he just graduated the HVAC school, there's two things that are going to come into play. The company he's working for, because if he's raw out of school, they're ordinarily going to want him to work for a company for a year to show that he knows what he's doing. Kind of get his feet wet and get in there. You know what I'm saying? But the second thing has to do everything with the area he lives in. If he lives in New York, then that 14 will probably easily become $22 an hour. But if he stays like in Iowa or some shit like that, it could be $9 an hour. So the cost of living kind of dictates the amount of money you're gonna get. So it really has everything to do with location. But let me say this: you might get a guy that graduates HVA school here, and I'm in Dallas. They might make him work for about $19 an hour for that first year. But once he's got that year under his belt, that's when you start going to other companies and start shopping yourself. So when you fill out the application, yeah, okay, I went to this particular trade school, or I went to this school to learn it, and I was working for this legitimate company for 1 year. So, you could command more money.
Right. What's going on, brother Markel?
What's up, man? Hey, that's a great conversation you guys got going. I don't know my man's name, but I started my HVAC company back in 2009, and I retired fully. When did I retire? 2013, I think is when I sold it. But he is absolutely correct. I'm going to tell you guys what I did real quick, and I'm going to answer his question along the way. So when I got out of the military and I went to HVAC school, my first job as a service tech, I was only making $9 an hour. Because you got to prove yourself. Just because you go to school and you know these things, you still don't really know anything. You just know the color of wiring. You know how to hook up wires. You know how to use a meter. But there's a lot of things in the field that you don't know yet. So you still got to learn all those things. But when I decided to go into business for myself, it was simply because I knew everything except how to get the clients. When you work as a contractor, you're basically an independent contractor when you work in these jobs. You get a vehicle, gas card, cell phone, and they send you to the job. When you're at the job, you write the ticket. You make the sale. You install the equipment. The only thing you're missing is the contractor's license and the clients. That's it. Once you get enough experience and you get your contractor's license, because people will hear, oh, I make $40 an hour. Well, that sounds great to the average person, but how much does the owner make? You're making $40 an hour and you work 3 hours, that's $120. But you could be the owner and make $1,800 after taxes on that same job. Which one would you rather do? If I do 10 of those jobs in a day versus working for a company making $40 an hour, I'm only making $400 instead of making how much? Almost $11,000. You understand the difference? So he's absolutely right in what he's telling you on here, but the key to all this is networking. What I decided to do when I started my company was go to real estate classes, meet a lot of realtors, because realtors always need somebody in HVAC. I don't care what it is. And I did more than just HVAC. I put in installation. I did HVAC. I put in hot water heaters. I put in whatever it was just to get the work. I didn't care what it was because it built a name for myself. And once I did that and got more contracts, I was able to go in and then ask for what I wanted at the time. It didn't matter what it was. He's absolutely networking.
Yeah, networking is absolutely the key. And another thing you spoke about just now, pricing. One thing I've learned, and I've taken sales classes, and I've also looked at like stuff online. Like there's a guy named Victor Antonio. He teaches the art of sales and how to talk to customers and making sales. A lot of times what people will do is they'll go to somebody's house, water heater, oh, I guess I'll charge you 1,300 or this, that, and the other. I work out of a fixed price book.
Yep.
So what I find in dealing with the customer, if you pulling numbers out of your ass, 9 times out of 10, they want to haggle with you. Well, you're saying 13, can you do it for 1,000, this, that, and the other? No. Even when I'm side jobbing, I bring my price book with me and I tell them, okay, let's say you got a slab. Well, let's say it's a water heater. The book says what I be doing for you would cost $2,200. So I tell them, if I was the man out here in uniform, I'd be charging you $2,200. Since I'm doing it on my own, I'll charge you $18. I've still made a profit. It seems when the customer sees it in print, they're more prone to accept a price in comparison you just pulling a number out of your ass and them not seeing anything in print. So that's a strong sales strategy right there.
Yeah, I worked out of a book. They have a book for us too. I basically got a book for every field that they work out of. They have fixed prices where, you can come in, you can show them because they're going to shop it. I tell them to shop it, same exact unit, same exact equipment. No, the only difference is I'm not Minuteman or whoever the hell you're going to call. I'm me. And I'm going to put in the same thing with the same exact warranty. It's no different. But you would rather pay that company $15,000 instead of me doing it for $10,000. That's the difference.
I'll never understand that, Markel, because I ran into that sometime. Like, I was working for a company and it was a sister, she was single. You could tell she really didn't know much about her crib. So she had like a couple estimates that she had another company do for her. So I pulled out my price book and I was like, okay, well, I can do it for this amount of money, but I can also give you 10% off, so on and so forth. So the number I gave her beat the other 2 estimates. And she only stayed about 10 minutes from my crib. So I was just like, look, sister, the price is this. If you want, I can come out on my off day and knock it out for about $600 less. She preferred to go through the company. I'm the same dude doing the same shit. Only thing is I'm not showing up in uniform, but some people are like that. So that's why I say it's best just to go into business for yourself, because there are going to be those, man, look, I've piped out restaurants. I've piped out bars. I've done stuff for certain companies. Now, I don't know how it is in Arizona, but for example, in Texas and Chicago, anytime there's a union town, you're going to have to pull a permit. And if you don't have a master plumber's license, you can't pull a permit, anything plumbing related. So if you're putting in water heaters and you didn't pull that permit, you can kind of run into trouble. I can see what you're saying as so far as trying to do all facets of work so you get those calls. But I take a different approach. I'll tell a person, yeah, I can go ahead and put a light switch in for you, a ceiling fan. Of course, I know how to do that. However, that's not my forte and not my trade. I'm a master plumber only. However, I know a guy that does, or I do know a guy that installs AC systems or this, that, and the other. So by throwing work at them, I get people calling me out of the blue. Oh, yeah, I had my AC guy, Ray. You know him? Yeah, I know Ray. Oh, he told me you're a good plumber. And it's word of mouth, bro. So, I believe there's enough out here for everybody. But a lot of my work that's not plumber related, man, I farm it out. I don't even touch it.
Yeah. Trust me, I understand. I had a lot of installs that I didn't want to do. It's hot as fuck in them attics. You get up in them attics, bro. Yeah. In Arizona, it's 120, 130 degrees up there. I had a bunch of white boys that I would contract it out to. They would do the work, and I would pay them like $350, $400 to put it in, and I still would make $2,600, $2,800 on the job after taxes.
Yeah.
And I didn't do none of the work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's on the furnace install?
Huh?
You saying on a furnace install?
On anything, whether it was a furnace, a heat pump, a package unit on the roof, a package unit on the ground. I didn't do the work. I started out, when I first started my company, I started out doing all the installs. But once I found these guys out there that would do the install for a fixed price, hell no. I would just add that price into what I was charging. So I made what I wanted out the job. I didn't lose nothing.
Right. But you just gotta trust that they're gonna do good work, right?
Oh, they did good work. I used to work with one of them at another company. So I knew the work that he did. He started a company that was just installs. That's all they did, was just installs. They didn't do any other work but just installing AC units.
That's what's up, man. Like I said, it's all kind of money out here, man. Guys just make excuses, man. They get content with working jobs, man. And you know, they get hooked on that 401k and all that, and the company make all these promises and shit. And they end up 67 years old and they ain't got enough money to retire, you know. Go ahead, bro.
To talk of what Markel just spoke on. I hear what you're saying about that group you were subbing out to, but I'm kind of different in that way, because I believe when you're in the trades or you're into like customer service work, your name is everything. So unless you are just 100% sure that these people are on top of things, you know, I like to personally come out and oversee what's going on.
Oh,
I don't mind getting the. Oh, okay, all right. I thought you meant you just left it to them. Oh, okay, all right.
No. I'm there, and then we walk through it when he's done, and I make sure I inspect it. Okay, the pan's in, the drain's hooked up, the flex is together. Okay, everything's done, the wiring's hooked up. We run the system in the heat and the air, regardless of what time of the year it is, to make sure everything works right. So when we leave, because I gotta warranty it for a year. I got to warranty all the work for a year. When I leave out the door, it's good to go. Unless some kind of manufacturer's defect, I never have to go back.
Right. No,
I know y'all got some horror stories now. Come on with it.
Hell yeah. Don't have some horror stories.
Hey.
Who doesn't
when
have
it comes to horror stories, I mean, where do you start? There's a million of them. But just to touch, before I get into one good one, what Richie was talking about is so far as people being content with that little hourly wage and their 401ks and this, that, and the other. I look at it like this: start your own business, pay yourself the hourly wage that you would like, and reinvest the rest of your money in that business, or pay yourself 25% more than you would ordinarily pay yourself, and take that 25% and invest in the stock market or real estate or something like that to prepare for retirement. You know, I don't want to have to depend on a mutual fund. And there's nothing wrong with these things. It's just me personally. For example, I want to get into tax liens, because tax liens are guaranteed paybacks. You usually get anywhere from 15 to 25% return on the lien if it's bought back. And if it's not bought back, you get the property and you can go ahead and sell it or rehab it and rent it. I think there are more creative ways to make money. Now, again, I'm a blue collar guy, man. I don't know much about the stock market, and I'm not too trusting when it comes to giving people my money, you know, so I like to be able to see where my shit is going. I can see it in tax liens. I can see it in real estate. You know what I'm saying? Different strokes for different folks, but
explain the tax lien thing, man. What you talking about, buying the houses with tax lien?
No, buying the taxes.
Yeah, buying the taxes? Break that down.
You want it, Markel? You want me to tell them?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I've done that. I have 2 of them right now.
Oh, well, I guess, all right, if you want me to tell it. Basically, what it is this, Rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got 2 of them. I figured you'd be the perfect person to tell them. But basically what happens is this, Rich. Let's say, for example, you own a home and you get behind on your taxes. The county is going to come after you. And they're going to try to snatch your crib due to those taxes. Right. So what they do is your delinquent amount, they allow somebody to pay off your delinquent taxes. Once you paid off the taxes, the person that owns the house has a specific amount of time to where they can either pay you back with interest or lose the home. And you're the primary owner of the home. Markel could probably tell you better than I can, because I know sometimes banks buy them back, or banks in the business of buying tax liens because they own the property, so they want to cover their ass. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
But 9 times out of 10, the person is going to try to get back on top of their taxes But once they paid that tax back, the state says that you got to pay the person that bought your taxes a minimum of like 15%, a maximum of 25%, depending on what state you're in.
Correct.
So let's say,
say that.
right. So let's say, for example, I live in, I don't know, Idaho, and Idaho says 25%. Well, if I buy $100,000 worth of tax liens and all of them are bought back, by the end of the year, I've made $25,000 because that's that 25%. You know,
Right.
there's no bank account, there's no savings account giving you a 25% return on investment. You know, and if they don't buy the property back or don't pay you back for the tax money you spent, then you get first crack at the property. So that's why you see a lot of these signs out there saying we buy homes or we sell homes or that type of shit. You know, they're trying to really shoot at people that are behind on their taxes. And they'll say, okay, at least let us give you something before the county takes your property and you ain't getting nothing. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So just explain to me, like, when do you go down to the county and say, who owes on their stuff?
No, they have a list.
All this shit's online.
I don't know how they do it in Georgia, but in Arizona, they have a list. You can go down to your county, what is it?
Assessor's office.
Yeah.
Assessor.
And they have a list of all the properties that owe back taxes. And you can pick. See, what we did was we picked. It wasn't just me. I shouldn't say it was just me. My cousin and I and two other guys, we picked the largest properties, like in the best areas in Scottsdale, and we'll buy the taxes. Because all it is these people are so busy sometimes, they don't have time for this, or they own multiple homes. They don't have time to go back and check. They'll get to it later. Meanwhile, their taxes are adding up. We got one, we spent over $50,000 in back taxes for one, but the property is worth almost $1.5 million. That's how much they owe on back taxes. But the people haven't lived in the house for almost a year.
Okay. So basically, so who kind of brokers the deal? Is the county? I mean, I don't get how everything works. Is the private deal with the owner of the house?
The property deal. What do you mean?
No, like, okay, let's say I owe $10,000 with taxes. You bought my taxes. Now, where you go down to the county and buy this, or they do it on the courthouse steps, or what?
They have auctions, and you can also do it online.
Okay, all right, okay, I seen this then. Okay,
I seen people do this about this.
And they only got 1 year to pay it, right? Something like that.
Yeah, they've got to. Well, it depends on the state, Richie.
They give you the opportunity to pay it, yeah.
Exactly. They might give you 2 years to pay it back, depending on your state. But if it's 25% per year, then that 25% turned into 50%. Now, the thing is, like Markel gave the example of the $50,000 tax lien for a $1.5 million property. So if you have the tax lien and they default on it, you basically have that property. Now, let's say, for example, the property is worth 1.5, but the balance on the property is $890,000.
Right.
I sell that motherfucker for the 1.5, pay the bank that $850,000. I got the profit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Bro, they used to do infomercials about this as if it was a get rich quick thing, which it really wasn't, because anybody could do it. They were just selling public information as if it was something private, like nobody knew about it.
Right, or some fool had a secret technique of doing it, but you can go on you can go on YouTube, man, and there's thousands of videos. If you just type in how to purchase tax liens, there's so much information available on the, especially YouTube, man. I mean, it's such a.
I've seen it done. I've seen people go down to the courthouses and auction. You know, they be auctioning that shit off. But I didn't know when y'all said when y'all originally said buy taxes. I was like, well, I was kind of thrown off on that, but I get it. What y'all talking about, man?
Hell yeah. Let's use a different example. Let's say you got an elderly couple. They've been living in their house forever. They only owe $25,000 on it, but they're behind on their taxes. I purchased a tax lien. they decide they don't want to buy the tax lien back. They're just going to let the house go and move into a retirement village or wherever the fuck they're going to go. So what I do is I take $25,000 and pay the bank off. Now I might have a house valued at $250,000, but I only spent $25,000 on it.
Right.
I could either sell that house or rehab it and rent it out. And with me being a plumber and knowing everybody else that does specialty trade work, I'm gonna do what it costs. And if I'm getting $1,000 a month, I'm straight. Have 5 houses do that. That's 5 G's a month. Living in a DR, you live like a king on 5 G's a month.
Right.
And I go straight Section 8. A lot of people talk shit about Section 8, man. That's one of the best things happening, especially when you know how to repair shit. I would go in a Section 8 house, man, and put the cheapest toilet, the cheapest sink, cheapest every motherfucking thing. Tear it up. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to come in and fix it.
Well, how do you think a lot of these people got rich? They didn't get rich by owning property for nothing. The government guarantees that money every month on Section 8. As long as you got somebody that can do repairs pretty cheap, because they're going to fuck your house up. They're going to ransack. They're going to fuck it up. It's going to happen. But if you can come right behind them, get a good repair guy to come back in and fix it up for cheap, Section 8 is exactly one of the best businesses to get in because it's guaranteed money every month. Regardless of what, you're going to get paid on Section 8. Doesn't matter. You getting paid.
Man, Section 8 still paying out during the pandemic.
That's what I'm trying to. It's guaranteed money. You're going to get paid. You getting paid.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Man, I know, like, here in Atlanta, man, like, the section I live in, okay, let's just say a 2-bedroom, Section 8 may pay out $1,000 or $1,200. But you go to the city of Atlanta, that shit might, same 2-bedroom, that shit might be $1,800. Or in one case, this one girl I knew, she was getting like $2,200 a month through Section 8. I was like, man, I need to get me a house in Atlanta.
But see,
all right, but imagine.
Let me
go ahead,
say this real quick. My thing is, for those that like to travel, and you have a home, but you're never going to be in your home, why not rent your home out to Section 8 or whoever and let that income come in, especially if you got a home that's paid off. You know, you can rent that out, bro. That's income you got coming in for doing nothing. Put you a home warranty on, pay a home warranty a year. What is it, like $150, $200 a year? And let them fix everything that's broke. You kick back in the cut just collecting the rent money.
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad you brought up home warranty because that's another thing that I'm familiar with because I worked for a company that subcontracted for American Home Shield, which is a home warranty company.
Who hasn't worked for American Home Shield?
Exactly. Those home warranty companies, they come at you as if, okay, yeah, you get this home warranty and you're covered. What people don't realize, man, it depends on your policy like everything else. What'll happen is, let's say you buy a house. American Home Shield goes out to these different realty companies and realty agents and say, hey, look, we're going to give you 10 free 1-year policy. So if you sell a house, we want you to tell the home buyer that they got a year's worth of free warranty on their home. It sounds good. The problem is there's certain coverage packages. And a lot of these companies make their money, especially Home Shield, because people have this shit. And let's say, for example, you got a damaged faucet. Well, some policies will cover the faucets, others won't. Or if you got the basic policy, if you have a leak under your house, that's not covered. But if you have the platinum policy, it is. Usually when people find out they're not covered, it's too late. And then they're pissed off because they've been denied by the home warranty company. And they still got to pay the deductible. And that deductible can range anywhere from like about $50 to $125, depending on the policy. But it works out for the plumber because if I call Home Shield, describe the problem, Home Shield says, okay, well, you got to tell these people that's not part of their coverage. They're denied. Home Shield calls them. I'll tell them. Then they'll usually turn around and call Home Shield. What the fuck's going on, man? I thought I had a warranty, blah, blah, blah. Home Shield will say, well, that's not included in your policy. The shit's got to be fixed. I'm a plumber and I'm standing right there. So yeah, I tell the homeowner, hey, sir, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry, Home Shield denied you. However, I can fix it for this. So that's another opportunity to make a sale right there. So you turn a negative into a positive.
Right. But also, depending on your state, there's certain policies in your state that they have to take. Like with HVAC, if you have a gas furnace in your house and it's got a cracked heat exchanger and they're warranting the unit, they may not want to pay for it, but they have to in the state of Arizona and in the state of California. Now, in the rest of the other states, I don't know. But if I call them and say, hey, this guy got a cracked heat exchanger, they may buy the cheapest gas furnace that they can find, but they have to pay for it. That is required.
Right. It varies from state to state, But to go back to what we were talking about the homes on a tax lien, or just let's say a rental home, period. Richie was talking about a girl getting $2,200 a month for Section 8. Well, imagine if the mortgage on the house was only $800 a month. Well, I'll take that. I'll take $300 and pay for the platinum warranty plan that covers everything, and I'm still making a $900 a month profit.
Man, that's a lot in Atlanta. $2,200 a month. I mean, in some areas it ain't, but man, $2,200 a month. That's a lot to come up with.
Yeah, it is. But the way Section 8 works, let's say the rent's $2,200. Section 8 might say, okay, we'll cover $1,900 of it, and then the renter has to pay $300.
Right.
So even if the renter says, okay, man, I'm short, I ain't got the money, I ain't got the $300, I'm still getting $1,900 on a fucking $800 a month property. So it's a win-win.
Right. Yeah, man, that's definitely something I got to try to dabble with, man. Maybe after this pandemic, it'll be a lot of foreclosures. People getting rich in a drought, man.
Well, I know,
hey, man.
Like here right now in Colombia, dude, it's properties going up left and right, to be quite honest with you, because there's a lot of these people been out of work, bro, for 3.5 months and going. Some of these other places, like these nightclubs and stuff, are not coming back probably till October, November, or even next year. There's going to be a lot of spots here, a lot of businesses open, a lot of business opportunities here that I'm actually looking at. I'm still looking at doing my little vending cart in one of these malls right here. And I'm only looking at investing $1,000 just to open it up with the employees. That's it.
In the mall, you there?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. Hey, man, anybody trying to start a business, I take my hat off to them. But I'm kind of the mind frame, being a contractor, that I want to dabble in businesses that are on demand. If I have a sales cart, it's up to that customer whether or not they want to buy my shit. Markel, brother, if it was me, well, like you say, you kind of like a jack of all trades. I'm going to tell you another big business is plumbing related, and that's leak detection. Meaning a property is losing water and they can't figure out what the fuck is the leak is. You have to run certain tests and you got to have certain equipment to locate those leaks in buildings as well as swimming pools. Could you imagine if you opened up a leak detection business in the Dominican Republic, all the hotels, all the villas, all the condos that have swimming pools, and you out there fucking around, you're not fixing shit, you're just finding a leak, getting $400 per inspection. You coming up.
In the DR though? They gonna pay you for it?
Fuck yeah, they will, especially people with $1 million villas.
Bro,
villas that cost $300,000.
That's just like HVAC. You ever heard of duct cleaning?
Yeah.
Duct cleaning, yeah, bro.
Oh man, I had one of them at my crib the other day.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
What, duct cleaning?
Especially if you got flex. What the fuck are you cleaning with flex? And if you have metal duct, all you doing is putting moisture on metal, which is gonna rust it out, which means they gotta come back and replace your shit in about 5 to 7 years. That's the biggest ripoff.
So how you clean them ducts then?
Your ass, they coming out to clean your ducts. You go first. You need to see what kind of duct you have. Do you have flex duct, which is all plastic with metal rings?
I got an old house. My house is like 74.
Okay, so you got metal duct.
Metal duct.
Fiber insulation on the inside of it. So when they spray that shit on the inside, that's moisture that's gonna go through the fiber. that's gonna sit on your metal and rust that shit out. One day you're gonna go to your house, turn your AC on, and all that shit gonna be blowing in your attic, and you wonder why you ain't got no damn air coming in your house. That's why.
Okay. Yeah, that motherfuckers told me. I looked at the ad and they told me like $100 to do it. And then when dude got here, he like, oh, I gotta look at everything. I look at everything. That motherfucker told me $297, man. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
To do what?
To clean my ducts.
To make it smell good. He's just gonna blow some air freshener in there. Tell your ass he clean.
Like I said, I got an old house, so some of the return ducts, it got a little, you know what I mean, little stuff. So I wanted to clean all that out. And yeah, man.
Dude, no. You better off having somebody coming in and replacing all that old metal duct with flex. It's way cheaper. The most expensive part for you is taking all that old shit out and making sure you got enough room to put flex in there. And that's it.
Okay. So you saying it'll be cheaper to replace my duct?
Hell yeah, because you're going to have to replace it anyway. It's coming. It's coming.
And then all that metal.
I didn't get him to do it. I told him to kick rock.
But what Markel's saying, even you're going to have to do it at some point. So it's best to be proactive. But even all that old metal duct you taking out, take it to the scrapyard, man. You're going to get a little something back for it. You know, it may not be a fortune, but metal is metal. And you got scrapyards that'll take that shit in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The best way, man, to keep your AC system straight and your ducts clean is it starts with the filter, bro. You know, if you got a expensive, a decent filter, you keeping all that shit from being introduced into the system in the first place. A lot of people go buy these little cheap ass filters,
but you gotta understand. You gotta understand something. When we put in systems based upon those cheap filters. We don't put in systems based upon those high-end filters unless you're buying a high SEER system. When we give you those cheap filters, we're giving them to you for a reason. Because when you put in one of those expensive filters in a non-high SEER rating system, you're introducing static pressure to your HVAC system, which is going to in turn kill your indoor motor a lot quicker than it needs to be. So you need to be careful when you do that. There's a thing called barometric pressure. And depending on how your system was installed, if you do not install it correctly and you go put one of those filters in, within 3 years, you're replacing the indoor unit. I'm sorry, the indoor motor, because the static pressure is too high. So you need to be careful with that and change your filter every freaking month. A good rule of thumb, every time you get an electric bill, change your filter. Every time you get an electric bill, change your filter. Don't believe in that 3-month filter shit. That's a bunch of BS. Because as soon as you take that filter out and you put a new one in, watch how your airflow increase. Change your filter.
I ain't gonna tell y'all the last time I paid money.
Basically, for the brothers in the chat, man, in layman terms, to explain what Markel was saying, and I understand exactly what you're saying, bro. He's basically saying if you use a high-end filter, usually the high-end filter has more fabric to catch more particles. So that causes your system to work harder to pull air through. If you have a less expensive, thinner filter, it allows the air to pass through the filter rather, with less stress.
Now I'm going to get a filter tomorrow. Yeah, damn. Shit, man. Y'all making me feel bad. I ain't changed that filter in probably goddamn a year.
No, dog. Watch when you. This is also what you need to do. I don't know where your unit is located, but if your unit is somewhere easily accessible, you need to get some coil cleaner. Okay, they make self-cleaning coil cleaner. You can pick it up at Lowe's. You can pick it up at Home Depot. If you got a filter, if you have a system that's easily accessible, you can clean that shit on your own and save yourself $300 or $400 by doing it your damn self. Now you need to know what you're doing as far as taking the power and turning it off. Don't turn the unit on until it dries off. Don't do stupid shit. Now, if you somebody that can't really follow instructions, you leave that to somebody that know what they're doing.
They call it coil cleaner?
Huh?
A coil cleaner?
Yes, your indoor coil. If you haven't changed your filter in almost a year, that means one side of your coil, if not your entire coil, is jacked up. It's dirty as hell. You're not getting all the airflow you need to get through it. Especially during the summertime, you probably every year the air coming out gets less and less, not as cool as it used to be. That's because your damn coil's dirty as hell. And you're
And you talking
creating
about
pressure on your system.
the coils on the condenser outside?
The coils on the condenser outside, but you also have coils on the inside. Depending on the system that you have, if you got a gas furnace, they're sitting on top of your gas furnace. You got a heat pump, it's sitting inside the heat pump. But there's coils on both sides.
Yeah.
There's coils on the outside for the condenser outside, and there's coils on the inside because people think air conditioners cool. Air conditioners don't cool. Air conditioners remove heat. That's all they're doing. They're pulling out the heat out of the house, passing it through basically a frozen coil, and that's how you get air, cool air coming out. That's the way air conditioners work.
Damn, I'm glad I had this conversation with y'all. I'm about to do all this shit tomorrow, bro. Like, for real.
Now, one thing I'd like to add to that, everything Markel is saying is correct. There's a lot of stuff you can do yourself, but if you have a new installation, the most important thing to find out about the equipment you have installed is the manufacturer's warranty. And I'll use it from a plumber perspective. For example, if you buy a water heater, ordinarily any water heater comes with a 6-year manufacturer's warranty. So that means if anything goes wrong with that water heater in 6 years, the manufacturer will either send you parts that need to be replaced, or they'll send you a new water heater. You just have to pay to have it installed. But there's strings attached with that shit. Let's say you don't flush your water heater annually. They'll say, when was the last time you flushed your water heater? Well, I've never flushed. Okay, warranty void. This, that, and the other. So you can say you've been doing this shit, but a lot of times they want that documented that it was done by a reputable licensed company. So for the first 6 years, I would definitely have a licensed plumber come out and give me an invoice showing that my shit's been flushed annually. So if anything goes wrong with that motherfucker, I could produce those papers, give them to the manufacturer of the water heater, and they'll honor their warranty agreement. They're not just going to take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay.
It says, my parents have an electrical unit up in the attic. The unit pan keeps filling up with water and has to be pumped out. What do you think is causing that? Man, that could be a number of things. That could be as simple as the drain plug. The drain plug is plugged up with just garbage. It could be the coil itself is dirty as hell and water is just dripping everywhere on the inside. It could be a filter that's never been changed, got sucked up in the system. It could be a whole ton of things. I would start with opening the unit up first and looking at how the drain pan is draining on the inside, because depending on how old it is, sometimes those drain pans will dry rot if it's not plastic. If it's a metal pan on the inside, you want to change it to plastic because it's probably dry rotted. But it could be a number of things, but I would start there first.
You know, Markel, looking at the question, the thing that's interesting to me is he's saying that the pan keeps filling up with water.
He probably talking about the secondary pan.
Well, possibly, but if it's filling up, that means it's not draining out. Just like with an AC unit, you got a condensation drain. And if that thing clogs up,
that's what I'm saying.
I would start with the drain.
It's either blocked or the metal on the inside. If it's an older one, it's got metal, and the metal is dry rotted, which means that all the water is dripping inside the unit, which means it's dripping down in the secondary pan. They would need to change out either the coil or the pan if they can.
Yeah, but that wouldn't cause the drain. That wouldn't cause the pan to fill up and water to be removed. The reason that pan is filling up is because the drain isn't draining the water.
Bro, if they have a metal pan, depends on how old the unit is. If it's a metal pan and say it's been up there for 15 years, those pans get holes in them because it's metal with water dropping on it. That means it's dry rotted, which means it's going to run on the unit, which means it's going to fill up the secondary pan. That's what I'm saying. It's not just a blockage. It depends on how old the unit is and what type it is. They stopped putting metal pans in units back in 2010. But if it's older than 2010, it had a metal drain pan, which means it's probably
Let
dry
me.
rotted.
Does the secondary pan have a drain?
No, some of them don't. Some of them they just put kill switch. Some they do, some they don't. It just depends on the application, how they put it in.
Okay, I was under the assumption that it all drained out through the condensation drain. Because
They're
if that's the
supposed to.
case,
They're supposed
right,
to, but it depends on how old it is, how far back it goes, because you could have a 20-year-old furnace. Back then, a lot of them didn't plumb the drain pans all the way out. Nowadays, you get the primary and the secondary plumbed all the way out the house, and you can tell because it'll be dripping at the bottom. And if there's a problem, one will drip from the top, that's the secondary. The main one drips from the bottom. That's the way it is now. Back before then, they didn't do all that. They would just put a kill switch. They would let it just like a float in a toilet. They would just let their float switch come up, kill the unit. That's how you know you got a problem.
I hear you. Yeah, there was a brother that just said the drain needs to be blown out. And usually that's what we'll do. We'll take a little device and we'll load it with a CO2 cartridge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
put it in the condensation drain and shoot air through it. And then, but see, then that creates more work because a lot of times what'll happen is that condensation line, depending on the size of the house, if it's a single story house, ordinarily they'll drain outside. But if the shit's up in the attic, then it's a 2 or 3 story house. Usually what'll happen is that condensation line will tie into some type of sink drain on the upper floor. So when all that shit is blown out, now you're plugging up the sink drain and that needs to be cleaned out as well. So it's a process. You know more about AC than I do. I just naturally assumed if the pan was filling up, then the pan's not draining for some reason,
Yeah, I was saying that's the first thing I would check to see if it was draining. But again, like I said, it depends on how old it is. Because if it's a really old system, and it depends on where it is. The rules in Arizona are different than the rules in California, because those are the main 2 states that I work in. And every contractor, the way they built them, the way they did it is different. In most townhomes, I see it the way you're talking about, where they would run the main drain into a sink somewhere, either upstairs or wherever. They would run that drain in that way. But most of the time, they would run a drain now to where one's up top and one's below. The primary's at the bottom, the secondary's at the top, or they didn't have a way to drain it and they would put in a pump to pump the water out. So it's just different applications of how they did it.
Right.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, man, I appreciate talking to you, brothers. I'm gonna change some filters tomorrow and get some of that coil cleaning stuff to clean. And I'm gonna figure out how to clean my own goddamn duct.
Well, dude, there's plenty of stuff like he said on YouTube. You got questions about stuff? Type it into YouTube. I guarantee you there's a video about it.
Yeah, I saw some little videos of people how they was doing it. But I figured, man, shit, 100, even at 150, I would have let dude do it. It was just the principle. They advertising one price, but then they hit you with all this underlying shit. But you go from
Rich, but
100 to 300, I'm like, man.
that could be expected though, Rich. Like for example, I could tell you I'm gonna put let's say for example, a person, they say, okay, bro, look, you're a plumber. I'm gonna buy the water heater, have it sitting here waiting for you, but I need you to put it in. How much would you charge me? I say, okay, bro, it should take me about 2 hours tops, depending on, the hardest part about putting in a new water heater is draining the old. Because a lot of times people don't flush their water heater and you got so much sediment in there, you could wait 2 hours for that shit to drain out. You were talking about horror stories. I remember I just turned journeyman and I had an apprentice working with me. I told him to go inside and drain the water heater. I'm sitting in the truck chilling, talking on the phone. I'm thinking, how hard could it be to drain a motherfucking water heater? So he connects the hose to it, no water's coming out. Instead of coming to get me, he takes a wrench and he tries to take out the boiler drain that's on the water heater where you release the water. The problem is that drain was made of plastic. So when he put the wrench on it, it snapped and then flooded the whole goddamn basement. Flooded the whole basement, man. He came running outside to get me. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And as soon as I saw the drain was cracked, I was like, broken rather. I knew exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a boiler drain on a water heater that's not draining, I would suggest somebody take it apart and try to take a coat hanger or something to punch through that sediment, then put it back together real quick. If it's plastic, don't fuck with it. Don't fuck with it. If you can't get the water out, man, you can either try to disassemble the drain and use that coat hanger trick, or what you can do is take a pump and connect it to the top of the water heater and try to pump the water out from the top. And atmospheric pressure will help that happen. You know, because a gallon of water is like 8.3 pounds. So if you got 50 gallons of water in a water tank, you're talking about over 400 pounds. You're not getting that damn water heat out of a basement or bringing it down from an attic. 400 pounds, man, you can forget about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the problem for a do-it-yourselfer. You know, I went to the dentist one time. I had to have a wisdom tooth pulled. Motherfucker did it in all of like 10 minutes. I got a bill for $400. And I'm thinking to myself, man, all he did was pull a tooth. But it was worth the $400 because he knew what the fuck he was doing, number one. And number two, if something was going wrong, at least he'd be the man to fix it or correct it. You know what I'm saying? So
man, I could have pulled that tooth for you, man.
Yeah, I know you could have, but if you fucked up and broke the tooth or this, that, and the other. Yeah, but you know, you're paying for a person's knowledge, man. I know a guy that's a lawyer, man, one of my Mason brothers, and he's got a sign in his office that says my time is in consultation is my worth, meaning, you know, you're paying him for his knowledge and his know-how. You know, and when you've been doing the same thing for over 20 years, you know, I can fucking put in a garbage disposal in 15 minutes, charge somebody $350. Damn, really? That was fast. I'm paying $300.
That much?
Fuck yeah, they pay more than that, depending on the horsepower of the water, the garbage disposal.
And the area, Rich. I didn't like what the jobs that I did. I don't know where you worked at, bro, but the jobs that I did, all my clients were high end. I ain't fuck with just the common Joe. I wasn't trying to make $35 just to show up. Every time I went to somebody's house, it was $125 just to tell you what's wrong with it.
Right. Shout out to Kenneth McDonald for the $5 donation. He said he had a cleaning of the AC check. I had a cleaning and AC check last week, and the guy put 2 pounds of Freon in there and told me I had a leak and did not check for me. I told him to kick rocks. I mean, if you're adding Freon in, you obviously got a leak, right?
Well, if he added Freon. Look, let me tell y'all something real quick, okay? And this is being 100% honest. In some of these sales classes that we go to, all right, because this is how shady some of these companies are, which is why I left a lot of them. They'll tell you tricks like that so you can get a profit. Because some of these companies pay if you sell anything. If you don't sell anything, you don't make anything. They strictly commission. So it depends on the company. But units are sealed systems. So the only way he added anything is if there is a leak. And if he added 2 pounds, when was the last time he had a check? Because this has been over a year. I doubt there's any kind of serious leak. That might have just been a sales ploy. But if it's a leak, a small leak like that, he could buy some stop leak. And it's pretty cheap to buy stop leak. It's kind of like a stop leak that you use for a radiator or a tire. They have it for HVAC as well. For something that's really small, I would try stop leak. It may cost you $60, $70 for that. If it's something that's major, don't fuck with it. Call somebody out to get them to fix it. They may have to put some dye in it. They may have to do an air test to find it, remove all the Freon out of it and do an air test, try to find it. Or you can put dye in it and locate it with dye, as long as the lines are all visible. If they're inside the walls, then you may have to spend a little bit more money than you planned on to get that fixed, or just replace the lines altogether and have them move to a different spot where it's easier and accessible.
Oh, okay. So most time, if you got a leak, is it in that copper piping, or is it
could be anywhere? It could be anywhere. It could be inside. It could be outside. It could be in the lines. Sometimes it's where they weld the lines. Where they where they solder the lines from the unit up in the attic, or it could be where they solder the unit outside. Hell, it could be from the king valves. You have 2 valves outside. Normally, when they're checking your AC, they'll check those lines because sometimes the rubber gasket will dry rot on the king valves. So it could be from there as well. There's dozens of places, Rich, it could come from. It's not just one particular area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had a leak in my joint one time, and guy had to, guess he had to weld it back up, and then he put some more Freon back in there. But like you say, man, you just never know with these people, man. You know, they
Especially
come
the
in
ones that
here,
show
man.
commission.
One time, one of my little wires in the back of the thermometer, what do they call it, the thermostat?
Yeah.
One of those wires came loose, and I had a guy come out there, and man, he wanted to charge me. Shit, I think he said about $250. So I had do this other guy, and I got him out there, and man, oh man, it's just this wire right here, man. Just give me $60. I was like, cool. But you just don't know what they're gonna charge you, man. These folks out here, man, they be
Well,
getting those, man.
look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm the type where I'm gonna look at the situation and I'm gonna see what it is, try to figure it out myself first. HVAC, dude, when it comes to thermostats, is pretty simple because they're all color coded. All the wires are color coded: red, white, yellow, green, black, brown. They're all color coded. So when you take the unit, when you take the thermostat off the wall and look at the wires, they're all color coded. There's going to be a red, C, W, H, C. Wait. W. Hell, I can't even think all of them now. Y, but it's simple. It's very simple, bro. It's not complicated at all. But I know my man don't like to tell people to try to do it themselves because it couldn't work from him. But I'm the type, man, open it up, look at it. Because it could be something just as simple as a wire that came off or a wire that broke. Something that simple. Save yourself some money.
Well, I'm gonna say this, bro. It's not just that it's money for me. One thing I hate more than anything else is coming behind somebody. Because a lot of times when you get those do-it-yourselfers, they fuck something up worse than it would have been had I came in and did it in the first place. And then you got to explain that to them, and then they don't want to hear that noise. You know, perfect example, when it comes to plumbing, man, it's best to be proactive. I always tell people I know, man, and I'm telling the brothers in the room, Drano, like a liquid plumber, it could be your best friend or your worst enemy in the plumbing industry. Number one is acidic and corrosive. So if you have metal drain pipes under your sink, you really don't want to use Drano. If you got plastic pipes, that Drano is not going to eat away at the pipes. So if I got plastic pipes under my sink, before I get a blockage, man, I'm at least every 6 months to a year hit my lines with Drano. If I hit them while the lines are open, if there's a blockage that's about to happen, the Drano is going to travel straight to that blockage and break it down, concentrate it. A lot of people try to use Drano when there's water sitting in the sink and there's standing water in the lines. So when you pour it in there, it dilutes the Drano and it's not at its concentrated state. You see what I'm saying? So if you use it before you have a blockage, anything that's building up in there, it's going to get a direct shot of Drano and break it right down. And you just flush the lines and it washes out into the sewer. It's as easy as that. So I would hit my tubs, my sinks, my showers, whatever the fuck. Only thing with Drano is if you have a garbage disposal in your kitchen sink, do not pour the Drano in the disposal side. Usually there's a double bowl sink, one a regular drain, the other has a garbage disposal. You pour it down the side without the disposal because that Drano, if it gets and it hits that metal in the disposal, it's acidic. It's going to eat away at the metal and then your disposal is going to leak. Then you got to replace that. So that's free game right there.
Right.
But I would say this also, Rich, before doing anything with electricity involved, turn the power off. Do not just go touch something you ain't never fuck with it and you don't turn the power off. That's
number one. When in doubt. Yeah, if you don't have a tester, shut the power off. I agree.
All right. Yeah, man, that's some good game, man. I appreciate y'all fellas, man. So guys, if y'all have any ideas on the new show as far as you know, brothers making money, blue collar work, stocks, whatever. You want to come on and put brothers on game, just hit me up. Rototape at yahoo.com. And we're about to end this show in a minute, going on an hour and a half so far. So any last words y'all want to say, Brother Markel?
All I tell people is you got to be hungry. This is something you got to want. You can't be somebody that's like, okay, I'm gonna do it, but your heart really ain't in it. The thing about me that when I started was this was my livelihood. This is how I'm gonna make my living. So I had to go out and manufacture work. You can't sit back and try to wait for it to come. So I would just say, you know, you got to be hungry. You got to be motivated. Go make it happen.
Right. I like what you said earlier, man. You'll go to the real estate classes and stuff like that. So you'll catch the new real estate agents coming in the game, huh?
I catch new ones. I would put my card out to everybody that was in that class and let them know what I did.
That's
And I would
good.
get calls from that. You just got to use your resources, man, and network. Once you meet one, they put you on another one and do good work. Don't go out there and do a half-ass job. Don't do something you wouldn't accept. Do something that's good, that you can be proud of, that they can look at and say, damn, who did this? And how much did they charge? And then they pass it on to the next person.
Right. A little off subject, but so what's the deal with the flights going to DR and Colombia, man? Because I know you sent me an update on that.
So yeah, they made it official. If anybody wants to go and check, and you can check with the people that are locally on the ground, if you know anybody, July 1st, international flights will begin again in the DR. But as far as here in Colombia, September 1st. That's what they're saying. But I wouldn't put that in stock here. They keep changing it. So September 1st, here in Colombia, July 1st for the Dominican Republic.
Right. Okay. Appreciate that. So brother, Jay, man, so what last words you got to tell brothers, man, about this business, man?
To piggyback on what Markel was saying, two things: networking is the key, and quality of work, because word of mouth is the best advertisement. You know, when you do good work for somebody and somebody's gonna ask, you know, a plumber, you know, an electrician, those people are so glad to say, yeah, I know one, here's his number right here. So word of mouth is the best advertisement. As so far as back to the topic, you know, opportunities in construction or what have you. You know, one thing I noticed when I was an apprentice coming up in the union, you know, you got a lot of them other people that, well, let's call them that, them other people. They'll go to college, do this, that, and the other. But the ones that are felons, the ones that weren't built for college, this, that, and the other, you see them on construction sites, man. You see them in a trade, you know, making a living because they knew somebody or their daddy was a plumber and got them in business. Or this. I know a guy that here that owns a bank, a plumbing company. His son was a fucking bank robber. He did time for robbing a bank. And when he got out of jail, his father made him the vice president of his plumbing company and gave him a whole separate division. You see what I'm saying? So he went from inmate to legitimate businessman. You know, now understand, if you got a felony like a murder, breaking and entering, a retail theft, some states won't license you because they don't want to allow you to go into people's houses and case their cribs and, you know what I'm saying, possibly, you know, rob these people or something like that. You know, if you convicted of rape, they're not gonna let you go into people's cribs. You know what I'm saying? So you won't get that license. That's why you got a lot of handyman out here. They can't get licenses, but they know how to do what they're doing. But I would tell any brother, man, you know, college isn't for everybody, man. My son, I'm trying to get him to go to the Coast Guard. Once he gets out of the Coast Guard, man, he's gonna come back and work for me if he chooses to, and we'll make that money together. You know, it's about generational wealth. And the only way you're going to acquire that generational wealth is if you own your own business or you hit the lottery or come up or some shit like that. But, you know, you got to, working for the man ain't the way. You know, if you want to travel, if you want to live your best life, man, why not be the boss? You know, I hope to get to a point to where my plumbing company gets, I have people working for me. And if I'm living in the DR for 3 or 4 months at a time, I could simply dispatch from wherever the hell I'm staying in the DR, you know, and text work orders to my people working In my city, they go ahead, collect the checks, collect the payments, deposit them, I pay them, and we get the money together. You know, you can't do that working for the man. So I would encourage any brother, man, if you're confused, or if you're saying to yourself, you working in a warehouse, or you doing this, that, and the other, none of us are getting any younger, man. None of us are getting any younger, and we got to live our best lives right now. And in order to do that, man, it's your health and your finances. You know, so I say, man, go for it. Like Markel said, man, AC guys are making a killing. That one brother, he said sprinkler fitters are making a killing. I got some dogs running. Get the fuck out of here. You know, do whatever you, be it that vending cart Markel was talking about. He's his own businessman. You know, you look at Flip Flop in the DR, got his restaurant. He's a businessman. He's got people working for him. You know, I'd rather be the employer than the employee. Because like Markel said earlier, you can make that $40 an hour, but I guarantee you that contractor you're working for, whoever the hell you're working for, is making what you're making and more per hour. So why not be the boss?
Absolutely, absolutely. Man, I appreciate both of you brothers coming on, man. Like I say, everybody in the chat, if you got a good idea, you want to come on the show, hit me up at rototape@yahoo.com. And piggyback off what you're saying, man, and, you know, like you can work a job all your life and you can have kids, and man, you can't pass a job down, but you got a business, you damn sure can pass that to your kids. So let's think about building businesses, man. Stop being employees all the time. But I appreciate everybody joining.
Bro, and one more thing.
Go ahead, brother.
Networking, but I'm gonna tell you this: networking is important, but sometimes getting a mentor is important as well. A lot of brothers are too proud to ask other brothers. You know, let me tell you something, man. I've gone in $1 million homes, and I'll be sitting there doing the work, and the customers tickle pink and this, that, and the other. And after they pay me, I'll tell them, hey, man, I really ain't trying to get in your business, man. But what exactly is it that you do? You know, what do you do for a living? Motherfucker tell you, oh yeah, I'm an investment banker. I'm this, I'm that. You'd be surprised, man, by just simply asking a question, how much information you can get from people. So don't be afraid to ask, even if the person's white, Puerto Rican, whatever. You know, open your mouth. A closed mouth don't get fed. You know, so open up and ask. You know, you'd be surprised. A lot of people, that'll sometimes set it off, and people like, damn, this guy's really interested. You know, I'd love to discuss what it is I do. You know, you'd be surprised, man. Sky's the limit. Open your mouth and take a shot.
Right. And then you got a lot of older guys that won't give you no game. They won't tell you shit. But that's a whole nother show, man. You know what I'm saying? You know how that shit is, Jay. You be like, yo,
That's
man.
True. That's true.
I know one guy, I was trying to get into the box truck games years ago, and this guy would tell me, we was playing baseball there, so we would travel. So he was my travel buddy. So he would tell me about the business. Man, I got 7 trucks on the road. And man, I'm doing good. One day I come to him and say, hey man, I want to buy a truck, man. Man, that joker wouldn't tell me nothing. Finally, one day I'm like, yo, man, why you want to tell me, why you want to put me on game? Oh man, you got to find out yourself. But like I said, it's a whole nother show, man. It's, you know how they
Well,
go.
I believe that's a fucked up way of thinking, because these other races have no problem discussing little ins and outs and, you know, so on and so forth with their people, you know, and there's enough out here for everybody. You know, I can't be at everybody's house fixing every goddamn thing. There's enough out here for everybody. But if you're righteous with somebody, you know what I'm saying, and explain to him how to get in the game, you might be surprised. That person might want to come work for you because you were so real with them. You know, so
he could have made another branch with me. You know?
Exactly.
But that's how people
are quick
live.
to tell you how much they make, but they don't want to be straight up in how they get it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's kind of it's a fucked up mentality in a way. You know, but I've got no problem sharing my knowledge with anybody, because nobody's gonna stop me from making my money, man. As a matter of fact, I'm about to get a contract at DFW Airport, Dallas Fort Worth International, backflow test.
Don't tell them, man. Don't tell them everything, man.
Well, yeah,
They might try to cut you out, bro.
it's enough out here for everybody, man.
Let me throw this
It's
out
enough
there.
out here for everybody.
Go ahead, Mark.
If you are a veteran, you don't have to be a disabled veteran, but if you are a veteran, small business owner, government contracts, okay? Government contracts. The $60,000 I was talking about, that was getting $60,000 for just changing the filters at how many post office? I think it was like 10 different post offices from the U.S. government. That's it. I didn't have to do a damn thing else. Change the filters. That's it. That is it. Okay? $60,000, and I would go out once a day for 1 hour in each post office, and that was it. That was a side job from a contract that I got from the U.S. government, for being a veteran, not just disabled, but just being a veteran.
And you know, Markel, a lot of brothers. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Markel.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of veterans out there who own businesses that don't take advantage of government contracts. You all have no idea how much the government spends on just veteran-owned businesses out there every year that they're required to spend. And all you got to do is put in a contract. And it only takes you to get one contract to get into the network.
Very true. And for you brothers that aren't veterans, there's something called a MBE status, which is a minority business enterprise. And ordinarily, when you're dealing with state or federal government projects, in some municipalities, depending on the city, they have to give consideration to minority business owners. And a lot of times what these white men that are business owners will do is put the company in their wives' names, because women are considered a minority when it comes to MBE practices. So they don't necessarily have to be black or a minority as far as race goes, but women are defined as a minority in that program. So you might have a guy who's the real business owner, but because he's not a minority, a white man, he'll put it in his wife's name, and she's getting these special contracts and preferential treatment because they have to set aside a certain percentage of work for MBE contractors. So that's another way to get in the game as well.
Yeah, and last thing, people sell their veteran status. They become owners of companies that they don't know nothing about just so they can get those government contracts. There are companies out there that are willing to pay you $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year just for your status, just to put your name on their company as being part owner, CEO, CFO, doesn't matter. They just want to put you on there to say, we have a veteran who's in management and we're going to get this contract. Look, it's all kinds of ways to do it. You just have to go out and find it, hustle, get information. Like he said, ask questions. I didn't know anything about it until a guy came to me because he saw my veterans plates and offered me money just to be on his company so he can get this veteran contract. That's how simple that shit is.
Yeah.
And he talked to somebody to find that shit out. He networked or talked to somebody to put him on game, and that's how he found out.
Right.
You know.
Well, appreciate y'all brothers coming on, man. Shit. Hopefully we can do another show, man. Hopefully somebody hit me up, talk about your business, whatever you're doing. Let's try to put out some videos like this, man, because a lot of people already out of work, and perhaps they want to do a career change. So now is the time. It's never too late. But appreciate y'all, brothers, man.
You only live once. You brothers take care. Good talking to the both of you.
You too.
All right.
All right.